I'm sorry.
I like it. Yeah. Good. It wasn't missing. Oh. That's good.
Call to order Rankin City Council, Monday, October the 9th. Roll call, Mr. Scott.
Yep.
Mr. Brower. Here. Mr. Exley.
Here.
Mr. Blackwell.
Here.
Ms. Taylor.
Here.
Mr. Kirk. Here. Ms. Taylor, would you lead us in our invocation of pledge, please?
Bow your head. Dear Lord, thank you for getting everyone here safely. Thank you for supporting our city and keeping it moving forward. Thank you for all our employees. Keep Israel in your prayers and look after them. And help the U.S. continue to hopefully get better. And please give us the knowledge and strength to make our city better and make this meeting move forward in a progressive way. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve our agenda for this evening.
No addition off the motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Blackwell to approve the agenda as presented. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Exley?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Next is the approval of the council minutes of the meeting of September the 25th, 2023. I reviewed the minutes and found them to be an accurate record of the meeting. Did anyone have any changes or corrections they found necessary?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Kirkland, second by Ms. Taylor to approve the council minutes of the meeting of September 25th, 2023 as presented. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Exley?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Okay, now as we move into our agenda items, if you're here to speak in regards to one of the items on our agenda, at that time when the agenda item comes up, you're welcome to come to the podium, state your name, and you're welcome to comment. The first item, new business item 1, Mr. Nicholas Alber, request to appear before council. Mr. Alber,
Sir.
you will come to the podium.
Hello. I moved into Effingham 2014 and started coaching. I'm a little nervous, sorry.
It's all right.
Started coaching 2015, the first time that I volunteered, and was requested to get a background check. When the background check came back, there was a felony on my record, and Mr. Osborne sat me down in his office and explained that because it wasn't a sexual offense or a violent crime that I was eligible to coach. And Mike Osborne said that he would reference my participation as a volunteer before we move forward. If you would. So he said he would speak on my behalf. Just to reference who I
know him as Nick, but Mr. Aubrey, he's been with us for a while. At the time, as I had explained to Mr. Aubrey, I never knew the policy of a felony was ever in place. And if y'all recall, some of y'all didn't know as well when it was presented at the workshop. I'm here to speak for Mr. Oliver. Y'all have a policy in place. We have been working on it, Jonathan, myself, Raymond, and Chief Merle. And hopefully we can get that completed and get it to y'all as soon as possible. With that being said, I just want it to be known. We have never had an issue with Mr. Oliver. I've never had an issue or complaint about him. Staff's never complained about him. Parents have never complained about him. Coaches have never complained about him. Officials have never complained about him. He's reliable. He's always been on time. He's passionate about what he does. He loves the kids. And, you know, I understand y'all have that policy in place. Hopefully we can get something worked out. You know, him and I did meet. He's coached us quite a few times. You know, but I just want it to be known. We've never had a problem with Mr. Oliver. He represents us very well every time he's out there. No one has ever had any complaint on him. And I won't discuss anything, what had happened and what's on his background. But I will say this. You were 19?
I was 19 years old.
19 years old. How old are you now?
I'll be 39 or 39 in November. 19 years ago.
You know, I just wish we can look at things and let's get something going. We're coaching this team for him now. It's hard for him. I know he's upset, you know, because he's been with us in the past. But I just wish we can come up with something, because it's not only hurting us needing coaches. Staff's coaching like 3 or 4 different teams, but it's hurting people like Mr. Oliver. They've made a mistake in the past. He's moved on. He's shown a path that he has moved on, just like other ones have. We've all made mistakes. We've all done dumb, stupid stuff. I just ask that we can come up with something to give people like Mr. Oliver a chance.
And I know, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
I know my reliability as a coach and all the things that he said doesn't negate the fact of the policy itself. But it's understandable how this policy, the way it's written, could be misinterpreted. And I'm gonna read it. It's section 60-100. Any persons who has been convicted of a felony under the law of the state of Georgia, the federal government, or any other state or foreign jurisdiction, which shall include all felonies related to sexual crimes, shall be ineligible to serve as a director, coach, or supervise either directly or indirectly any child in any Rankin recreation program. So there's no period in any of that except for the very end. It's all commas. So, I mean, it is easily misinterpreted. And the conversation that was had in 2015 when I turned in my only background that I've ever been asked to turn in was what Mr. Osborne stated, since it wasn't a sex offense and not violent, that I was eligible. And then I was asked directly this year if I could coach one of the teams. And apparently that was after everybody had discussed this policy needing to be reinforced more strongly than it has been in the past. So I agreed, and halfway through the season, I'm told that I can't coach because my background finally came back, and it's the exact same thing that was on it 8 years ago. I've coached football, basketball, baseball, now soccer, every season, every year for the last 8 years. And both of my older sons I've coached all the way up, and now my daughter's 5 and she's just starting sports, and I would like the opportunity to be able to coach her up too. The only thing I'm asking for is a little mercy on a mistake I made when I was 19 years old. And I'm trying to move forward with the expungement. I talked to the chief about it a few times, and he's helping me in that way. But I'm just here trying to see what there is that we can do.
Mike, I have a question. Mr. Oliver, first thing I want to say is I commend you for coming up here. Second thing I want to say is I don't think that it's our position here to make that decision. It's not our decision here. That decision, don't you guys have a panel staff? Don't you have a panel? It's you and Jonathan, and who else is on your panel?
If something comes back on the background that's in question, Chief, yeah, me and Chief, we get together, we look at it, and then he calls Jonathan, and then he lets Jonathan know what we talked about. Because it showed a felony, like I said, I didn't know this policy was in place. Some of y'all didn't know it was in place. And, you know, once I realized it's in place, I have nothing to do but to do what is instructed. And because a felony was on there, we had to break the news to Mr. Albert that he can now not coach for us.
Did you call Mr. Alber after we had the appeal hearings for the other volunteer coach during that time?
After the appeal,
Yeah, well, during that appeal hearing that we had the other gentleman in.
I spoke with Mr. Albert after that appeal that had came in here before you guys.
So I guess my point is we are, we're having appeal hearings for stuff that we shouldn't have appeal hearings for. This is not an appeal, we should not be having an appeal hearing for volunteers. That's done through staff. Okay, that's not done here. We couldn't do it for a part-time employee. We should not be able to do it for a volunteer coach. And I hear Mr. Albert loud and clear. I'm all for everything that he said, second chance. It's not our position. It's not my position to move forward with that. I mean, that's staff's call.
I understand that, and with that being said, if a citizen comes up to you guys and asks for an appeal, y'all are the ones who grant it, you know,
I was advised to move forward in this way.
Mike, is this like a contract with our coaches that once they pass the background check, are they like a coaching contract or something to that effect?
I've never given a coach
Just a
a contract.
volunteer.
It's
It's just a volunteer position.
Yes, sir.
Are we close to finishing up the amended policy, or when do we think we'll have that?
I think that we should have that probably, hopefully some sort of draft form in front of you guys at the next meeting. There's a few moving parts with Mike getting some information to Chief and Raymond, kind of making sure we have a complete policy that we only need to do one time. So we kind of made sure that we're addressing it right. Everybody's kind of been moving forward, so hope to have that at the next meeting.
Does it state the amended policy? Does it state no felonies at all, or does it state sexual felonies? What does that policy state?
Well, first of all, what he's talking about is not a policy. It's the law of the city. It is an ordinance that was passed in 2005. So everybody at this city has to follow that order, period, end of story. If you want something done beyond that, then you want to go back and change that ordinance. But the policy that we looked at has no felonies allowed. That's in the preliminary draft of it.
So Raymond, the policy has to be based off of the ordinance. I mean, you can't go above.
You can get rid of the ordinance and create a policy. But in the hierarchy of things, the city ordinance is as high as it gets in the city. So a policy is well below it. If there's a policy that conflicts with a city ordinance, then you either gotta change the ordinance or the policy is void. So that's how that works.
I have a question about the ordinance itself. Why does it specify only related to sexual
It
crimes?
doesn't, that's your interpretation of it. It says all felonies in it, okay? To include basically is how that's worded, to make sure that there are no sexual
Well, that should be number one.
charges related to whoever is coaching. But that's up to them, they can change that ordinance if they so desire.
It just seems like it should say to include minor other felonies, because that should be the main sole purpose for this policy originally.
Where you at in the expungement process?
I've only talked to a couple judges, and I need to get a pardon first. I got caught with a lot of weed when I was 19. That was it. And my oldest is 15. I grew up with my kids. I mean, having kids was a game changer for me. And it was a dumb mistake to make when I was a kid.
Thompson, quick question. How long does that expungement process take? Is that a lengthy thing, or is that like, I mean, what is that process?
Yeah, I imagine it's pretty lengthy. I don't have a time frame for it, but it's not something you go to one hearing and get it done.
Okay.
We have a friend that did it in Virginia. And it took him almost 2.5 years.
In a pocket full of money.
I've seen it done in Effingham County in about 60 days.
I've looked into it before, and another reason that I haven't moved forward with it in the past is
For a misdemeanor, not a felony.
it costs money. I live week to week. I have 3 kids. It's hard to come up with the money. It hasn't affected my life. I mean, where I work now, I had to get a background check, but it only goes back 11 years. I mean, I have a great career. This is the only time it's come up since it's happened. It hasn't affected me. I mean, I wanted to get it off my record, but when I found out how much it was gonna cost, just haven't had that amount of money.
Mr. Auber, I don't think there's anyone up here, I don't speak for everybody, but I would venture to say that I don't think there's anybody up here that's not sympathetic to your position and where you are. But the fact of the matter is, as you read it, there's an ordinance, a law that we're obligated to follow. And it's not something that we can just turn a blind eye to because we feel your situation may be different than others. And we can't form a policy or an ordinance to fit a particular situation. We've got to let this policy situation play out, and it's got to model our ordinance, or either we've got to change our ordinance, one or the other. But where we are right now, I don't see how we can violate our own ordinance. That's mine.
In actuality, it's been violated for 8 years, and I've never given any reason besides my background that was known from the very beginning. I understand that the ordinance is the ordinance, but it has been since 2005, 2007. I was just hoping that, being that my situation has played out in the way that it has, coaching so many different sports for so many years, that there would be some type of being able to be grandfathered in somehow, or some way around this.
Do you remember when you were contacted? I just want to have a close date.
It was when I came in to sign my daughter up, is when I was asked specifically to coach, which was August. It was right before the season started. I almost signed her up late. I'm not sure exactly what the deadline for signups were.
Mike, what was the deadline?
Mr. Auger was asked to coach at the beginning of August. He was out there for
5 weeks.
a good 4 practices, 5 practices. They had like 6 or 7. Staff took over the last 2 practices. Nick, I apologize, man. It does, it breaks my heart.
When was, Rob Collins' appeal?
I don't know, he went before you guys. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, I'm just saying.
I can look that up.
I think it was right at the end of July, because we were he wanted to try to get it resolved before that August sign-up time that they did, so.
Sign-ups ended the first week of August. You know, like I said, I didn't know this policy was in place. I've been here going on 10 years on October 13th. No one's ever said anything to me about this policy. No one's ever questioned me. Y'all know we've done background checks. We've always done background checks. And like I said, I apologize to you in front of everybody.
Yeah, but I mean,
And,
you did
you know,
know there was some type of policy in place,
Once
because you
again,
sat me down in your office in 2015.
I went off of what I looked for. That's what I went off of. I never knew this policy was in place. I never knew this policy was in place.
I think
Because we allowed you to coach. I
at a point
apologize.
where we can't make that decision tonight, have that hearing. And, until we get this policy and work on it, I think there's nothing else we can do right now. And that's just it. That's the way we are right now. And I hate it, because I believe in second chance.
Thursday,
for
August
everybody.
3rd, I apologize.
I believe in second chance for everyone.
When we get the new policy done, I don't know how far back it'll go, but if it changes, then perhaps your situation will change. And you were not the first one that we've had to say, we're sorry, we can't let you coach, because there was another gentleman that we had to tell that to.
If I can, I know it's rude to ask, but to be nosy, how did Rob Cullen be able to coach?
No, it wasn't him, it was, well, supposedly he doesn't have any felonies.
Okay. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Alden.
I'm sorry.
Okay, item number 2, new business is request approval, contract with Coastal Sports Turf LLC to apply pre-emergent herbicide to the golf course 70 acres in the amount of $9,100, line item number 580, 6140, 5311, 30. Mr. Bessinger?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, I've actually got some good news. I had to act on this pretty quickly. We need to put down some pre-emergent. So pre-emergent is where you prepare, obviously, to get make sure you don't have weeds that take over Coana during the winter months. So I had to get this on the agenda, so this was one of the first quotes that I got. I did keep working and called in a few favors, and a current vendor we have, Chattahoochee Turf Products, is being really awesome in terms of the situation we have with our superintendent, search for a superintendent, and they have offered to do it for $3,200. So we've got about a $6,000 savings there. So pretty much we're paying for chemicals, and they're gonna come and help us out just because of some favors that I called in. So I do not need to do coastal turf. Mr. Jonathan Lynn and I have talked about it, and Chattahoochee can do it, and we can have it done this week, which is good. We have to do it right before we really start getting cold weather. So I'm not sure how to proceed from here, but that's what we're going with.
Is Chattahoochee a vendor?
Yes, it is.
They are, yes, sir.
They are.
Sorry, I meant to say
It
that.
was too late to get it removed from the agenda, so we were
Yeah.
trying to get up and kind of explain to you that this process, and that's one of those amounts that does not require council approval. It's under the $5,000 threshold. We just wanted to be able to let you guys know that he was able to continue working and save us about $6,000 on getting that done. So,
Correct. And on top of that, we actually have that left in our budget for fertilizer and chemicals. So,
Great.
So as I'm hearing, it doesn't require council.
No action. Yes, sir.
correct.
No action.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody for saying that?
Look at him smiling.
Some money. All right, item number 3, new business is request to surplus property of plus or minus 17.43 acre located at 6755 Prosperity Drive with parcel number R2570007B00. Mr. Lamb, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, sir. This is the Freedom Park property. We have discussed this a few times following some interest from real estate developers, property owners that include the owner of the 3 parcels where we typically park cars for events. Expressed interest in purchasing the property, and following the ordering and receiving the appraisal, you all asked staff to go ahead and just have this on the agenda to surplus, so that we do have the option to be able to either list it with an agent, put it out for bid, for sealed bids, for to see, to essentially more or less to receive prices and see what that amount would be. Just to remind everybody, if we go that route, there is no obligation for anyone. You don't have to accept any of the bids or anything that comes in. It may even be beneficial at this point, and I probably would recommend going this route, is to find a commercial real estate agent and possibly list it with them so that they can kind of weed through what's real and what's not real, and then bring the offers back to you guys as they come in without that sealed bid process. And I know some misinformation probably went out to the public after seeing the agenda item. Following up, as part of this, we do have EMC looking at an alternate site that the city owns to be able to shift our events to a larger site that we own. Don't know what the cost of all that would be at this point, but we are looking at alternatives. And just to let everyone know that even though we are looking and exploring this option, there is no intention of removing special events from the city. We still intend to go forward with the fair, with the fireworks, with parades, with the rodeos. It just would possibly be at a different location within the city limits.
So, Mr. Lynn, I want to add, obviously, second week, man, I just got bombarded with calls over this. So I think there's two things that people want to know. One, they want to make sure what's going in that spot. They want to make sure that we control what goes in that spot. There's no warehouses, there's no, nothing like that. What we're looking for is, is a family fun area, is something like that, a build out. And also where the dollars are going to go that we are claiming off of that. Where are we going to put that? I think that those are the two biggest questions that I was faced with.
So to answer one of those, as we list the property and or put it out for sealed bid, you can put the requirements in there, selling it with the following uses only being allowed for whatever that is. There are ways to do that to limit the use. Obviously, it is already zoned commercial, it is not zoned industrial by any means. To go there, possibly even maybe looking at a mixed use or a PUD type unit to do the retail commercial / residential uses there. In terms of the dollars coming from it, that will be up to you all to decide how to direct staff to be able to use that money. At this time, as far as I know, there's nothing earmarked for that money, because I don't think we had any intention of when that property was going to be sold. So that would be something that would be voted on, would be brought before you guys, that the public would be aware of. That money wouldn't be spent without that process in place.
Mr. Lynn, on the events that we do hold at Freedom Park, have we signed any contracts for future events at this point? Normally, I think we just do them as we plan it, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll look at Mr. Osborne. I haven't seen anything come across for anything that would happen in 2024
Because if we already had signed one, say like for next year.
Nothing's come before you guys that I know of to sign yet.
Might may know more, yeah.
I just received a contract for the fair, but nothing's been signed. I just got it emailed to me, it was over the weekend, I think, maybe Sunday.
What's that date, Mike?
It's, the date that and of course I haven't done anything with it because I always ask Raymond like I'm supposed to do, to look at it, then give it to Jonathan and where the city manager and then the mayor's, and don't hold me to this, but I believe the date is April the 11th through the 21st. But nothing's been signed.
It's usually
Spring
during
break
the
or
spring
something.
Easter.
break.
Yeah.
So nothing's been signed. I just got the email, the guy called me wanting to know if we would have them back, and it was for the fair, and I told him he needs to send the contract, and that once I got it, I will give it to the people that I need to give it to.
I think it's going to be a tough time closing before that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we've got, as far as what the usage is, it's already zoned. It's got to meet those classifications unless it come back to us. Then the other thing, the funding, that comes back to us and make the decision. But then also, we need to proceed with our activities out there. And then let them know if we've got something scheduled, got a contract, it can't close. We can close it if they want it, but we have to utilize and meet that obligation with that contract at that time. Sir.
Closing date would be after that contract.
No, absolutely, there's no way you could get that done, sell it and close it.
This is, just kind of came up because, as Mr. Lynn said, we had an inquiry about the property. But just to talk a little history on this piece of property, those of you who were on council then, remember that this all happened 2008, 2009, when the economy had a downturn. And the city had a great opportunity to get that piece of property at a very good price. And we saw it as an opportunity to maybe control our own destiny a little more, to have a little more control. Everybody was looking for options, and still are, as far as sit-down restaurants, entertainment, those kind of things. So we kind of saw that we could have a little more control over making that happen. And since that time, we've used it as a venue, a piece of property, and it's been really good. We've had some great events. The community has enjoyed it. It's been really good. We recognize that. So when we talk about this, it's just in the beginning stages of talking, and we're talking about some other options that we could pursue to have another location for our venue. However, I'd say we have to be really careful, because it would be easy to say, let's just do that. But whatever other piece of property we might get, whatever it may be, the cost of clearing and prepping and building roads and all that, we may up spending all we're gonna get on this piece of property to just go somewhere else. So we've got to evaluate all of that. I mean, this is just an initial inquiry, and to do that, even pursue it in any way, we've got to surplus the property. That means absolutely nothing until this council takes an action. So that's kind of where this piece of property is.
Right, but the problem is there was other property in front of the property we own that was available up for sale, and we didn't get it, and someone else got it. Well, they're getting ready to start building on it, which is gonna cause a problem for us, because that's right where we park. So that's another reason why we are looking at another area. So just to FYI.
Can I ask something? And my question is this. What's the plan? I mean, you got 70 acres over here, you got 100 acres over there, you got a park falling apart by the library, you got McCumber in desperate need of revitalization. What's the master plan for parks and recreation for this city? And I don't think, and I told John Clem this, we seem to be happenstance. Oh, look, Joe's gonna build a tire shop. Oh, look, Sue's gonna put a coffee shop in. And we're doing it as it comes. And we just need a plan, and I'm like the mayor, you go over there and put $2 million in a road and clear a piece of property, and then you decide, no, we really wanted to be over here. I don't know how you can do much until you know what you're doing at all. And we don't know what we're doing. And we need a master plan desperately for parks and recreation, for the city. Patrick wants sidewalks. I mean, y'all, we are in desperate need of a master plan, and then we need to work the plan. And we're in desperate need of that, and we're running out of space and time. And I mean, and I don't think a businessman that comes in and buys a piece of property, we can tell him, nope, you can't put that there because we really wanted this. You kind of got to let them build what they want to build if it's zoned that way. We're in desperate need of a master plan. And people are concerned because we enjoy what goes on at that park. We enjoy the 4th of July, and we enjoy the fair and all that stuff. And it's local to the highway. And I think Mike would probably even tell you, you pull in a lot of traffic from people going by that, and the kids see the Ferris wheel. It's kind of hard to tell the 8-year-old no. So, but what's the plan? So you're gonna sell it, what's the plan? And that's all I think, and I've said this from subdivisions to warehouses, you guys need to push the pause button and get a plan. Desperately, please. Because listen, I raise my kids here, I want my grandkids raised here, and we want a city they're gonna enjoy. You know, I wanted a creek trail project so bad, but I got into that far enough to know that there was no way y'all could take that on right now. No way. But I talked to Terry, and she's not here tonight, but I said, Terry, I just think it's almost too late for our city. And she said, no, it's not, Mona. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. And so I'm not giving up. We need a master plan. I don't care who does it, but we need a master plan. Please.
Thank you, Ms. Underwood.
Just mention, or kind of tell them what you were saying.
I think staff is well aware, and I believe everybody on council is well aware of this is, we're in the nascent stages of selling this property. But it's not just, oh, we're gonna sell this property and make millions of dollars. We realize that we have to have a plan in place. Well, we got several pieces of property that have been identified, but we have to have kind of boots on the ground there, because when we close, we want it to be a seamless transition. Whatever the plan is, we want to be able to, okay, we're transitioning from this piece of property to this piece of property, and we'll call property A what we're about to sell. If we open up property B, we want the parks and the rodeos and the fairs to be able to start there. So I mean, it's a major undertaking, and I think again, staff is well aware, and we're well aware that we want it to be, again, like I said, seamless. So I would think myself that even if we considered selling this property, that I would not want it to happen until we have a firm plan. Maybe not a master plan, as you speak of, but a specific plan that we're committed to in some way, that, okay, we're selling this piece of property, but this is what we're gonna do to replace it. I wouldn't want to sell it without having that firm plan in place.
And that's the same thing we discussed last week, when we talked about it.
And to make it, exactly, and to make it better with real restrooms and proper gatage and everything.
And that's true, very true there, because see, we bought this property, again, like I said, so that we can kind of control our own development and destiny. So we've been kind of hesitant to commit a whole lot of resources to it, because we knew at any time we could get an offer and sell this property. So we've kind of been hindered to fully develop this property like we could do.
So, what Ms. Underwood's saying though is, and I understand what she's saying, and we've talked about this before, we talked about smart growth. And we've talked about making sure that we have a plan for our city, so that we're just not happy when somebody purchases a building and builds something. We gotta figure out how, that master plan is something that we really need to think about as a city, because our commercial property is getting limited, and we need to make sure that we pay attention to what we're putting in those spots. Gas stations and, car washes and things like that, I mean, we've got enough of them. Fast food, we got enough of them. People wanna pull up to a restaurant, or they wanna do something with their family. Those things we have to think about, and I think you got a plan for that. And if we own this property, who says that we can't go out and entice people to purchase it for a particular reason? It don't matter whether it's zoned commercial. If we go out and ask someone that has water parks, could we put a water park there? Obviously, if that's who we attract, that's who we attract. We don't have to sell it to anybody.
I don't know, Puma didn't do real well with the water park.
No, I was using that as a reference.
But the bottom line is that you have to have a master plan. You can't have plan A with this. You've got to have a master plan. You've got to know what A, B, C, and D is. You just.
That's kind of what I want to speak to is, I fully understand the want to sell the property if another developer is developing things in front of it that are going to impact any type of event we want to do there. Completely get that, makes perfect sense. We have other properties we can use, that makes sense too. My problem is, you're a Gulfstream guy, all of you guys are businessmen, Reese, I think you're a school teacher. Y'all understand that nothing happens without a plan. Nothing happens without a plan. So who is developing the plan for that transition before we go and make a deal somewhere? Who is that task assigned to? When does that task get assigned? Those are my questions. How does that happen? We talk about it and we say we know we need it. How and when? Those are my questions.
It needs to be on paper.
Our engineer.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it needs to be on paper.
So when we initially talked about it, one of the first steps was we needed to surplus it, to just get it out there. We talked to the engineer, we talked to the city manager, we talked to the city attorney, and those three are gonna sit down. We talked about.
Is it the cart before the horse though?
Well, no, but we're not making any movement. We asked them to create a plan. Let's go and look at the property, walk the property, see what's there, see if that's even the right property, because it might not be. But the first step has to be for us to get it surplus so that we can see if it's even worth us even wanting to sell the property. Because if it's not, then we don't sell the property.
But if we start talking about plans, does someone have a bright idea for what the city could do on that land that you guys never thought of?
Well, that's what we have not gotten to yet, because we're looking at the other property first. And then if it's possible that we don't have another property that will do what we want to do, and if that's the case, then maybe we decide, hey, we're not going to sell it. Let's do something right there. So the three of them have been working together to get a plan to us for us to look at. And am I correct in what we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the possibilities. We could determine that, okay, we want to be fully committed to that piece of property. And now let's invest
But you could be
in it
committed
and
to
making
it for a whole nother reason. You could have another place for events. If they're developing in front of it, what could the city be developing that would create revenue? On property you already own.
Question. How far back does the 17 acres go? Does it abut the McCall Road?
I've already got it pulled over.
Okay, because I have it pulled up too.
Yeah, it does not go all, it goes back to the railroad.
To the railroad.
With the
and
woods
that-
by the railroad tracks.
So the railroad is dividing the industrial side of McCall, is that correct? That's my concern, is that when I pulled up the map here, Prosperity Drive, and that property goes to that railroad, and on the other side of the railroad is industrial warehouse. So my concern is it's gonna just start spreading if you sell this property. And I know you said you can put, some limitations on what can be built there, but at the end of the day, I don't think we really can restrict a property owner, because once it's their property, and they ask for it to be zoned a different way, as we have been seeing over and over and over again, that's what's gonna happen with this. That's my big concern for this. Wanted to ask about the master plan. I do think we need a master plan for this. I think that we're going too fast and too furious with this. I'm glad to know that we're gonna kind of slow it down a little bit. But my thing is, we sell this property, then where do we have events in the meantime? While we're clear cutting a new park, like where are we gonna have a rodeo? Where are we gonna have a fair?
We discussed that we would not move forward with anything
Okay.
until we had something,
All right.
if we were going to move. We would
Okay.
not move any of the events unless we had something. Literally, we would
Yeah.
not be homeless without a park.
All right, well, that's good to hear. In terms of how involved are you having the citizens with the plans for this park? Because I know the county had a lot of input from the citizens for the park that was up by the YMCA, so I'm just wondering if that was one of your ideas as well.
The one by the YMCA is our park.
Is it? So then you guys had the town hall meetings to have people have the input?
No, we did not. But
Maybe a different park, okay.
we are gonna do that
Okay.
because it's got more additions. We were just getting the playground up so kids can go to play.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
I think
I
when we get to that point, and again, this is early in the process, we don't even know how
But when
far.
the county got
we'll go.
funding, they started putting the plan together, then they brought it to the public.
But we would certainly want public input. What would you like to see?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
So,
I think
yes,
that'd be really a
if we
big,
get to that point.
it'd be
And,
important.
And if you don't mind, if you could just speak your name for the record.
Melissa Doss, 110 Pineland Drive.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else from council or the public? Okay, any other information, Mr. Lynn, that we need?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor, I would ask if, if you do move forward with the surplusing, we can get together and talk about whether we want to put it out for sealed bid or real estate agent when it's time to move down that road.
All right, unless council has other questions or information, a motion is in order.
I motion that we move forward.
I'll second
That surplus.
Second, with the understanding it's exploratory in nature only.
All right, have a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Blackwell, to approve the surplusing of property of plus or minus 17.43 acres located at 6755 Prosperity Drive, parcel number R2570007B00. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Exley? Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirker?
Yes.
All right, number 4, new business. Councilmember Exley has requested some discussion on council member term limits.
Okay, I've talked to a lot of people about term limits, and I wanted to make sure that I brought this out tonight. I said that would be the first thing that we talked about, that I talked about when I got on. But I want to read this because I want to make sure that I get everything in. The addition of term limits has been argued about in many circles. Some feel these changes that cut the will of the people out of having the elected official that they want, and they cut their time short. I said, others believe this approach is a necessity. Term limits reduce corruption, open our local government to new people with new ideas. It reduces the outside influence of those who may be in favor of something for personal gain. We should also consider putting an ethics committee in place like the city of Springfield is doing to restore trust to our citizens. Those are the biggest calls that I get right now is the trust factor of what we do. That's why people are out here right now scared to death that we're gonna sell this property and not have anything. And then what we're gonna do with the dollars. Just a few examples, and I'll go through these quick. We as elected officials would not have gained the power to create pay structure for subcontracts without insurance or hired without coming before council. We'd not been able to do that if we had term limits, because we would not feel like that we were above that. We would not feel empowered to talk down to our law enforcement team during any type of traffic stop or involve ourselves in situations that are out of our scope as elected officials. That's another thing that we would not be doing, because we would not feel empowered to do that. We would not be overstepping our city management staff and making decisions on day-to-day city business, like having appeals for volunteer coaches. This is a big one for me. We would not be 10 months behind on paying our city attorney. We're 10 months behind right now due to withholding invoices. Who is here that can verify that work? Is there anybody in here that can verify?
I can verify, Mr. Exley.
I'm not asking you.
I can prove every bit of it, okay?
So, who viewed the last 3 invoices turned in? Has anybody looked at those? Because I can tell you there's exactly 5 hours on each invoice for talking to elected officials. That number just cut off at 5. Did we have 3.5? Did we have 4? How do we know?
That's not 5 for elected officials, it's 5 for everybody in the city. So look at that bill again,
And
real
that was
closer.
3 invoices, 3 months that had the same exact time. So anyway, guys, while we're discussing this issue, should be caught up in the, I'm gonna demand, I feel like we need that needs to be caught up in the next 30 days. Jonathan can't verify that. He's the city manager. Who in your office has been here over a year that can go back and verify every bit of that time? So I'd like to see that caught up in the next 30 days without fail. The time billed is of taxpayers' dollars. We're not on the honor system here. This is a business. And a PO should be given each time our attorney requests us to complete something. Anytime we request something, then we should have a PO. That's how it's done. That's how it's done everywhere else. We have people coming up here requesting for stuff to be done. Tim requests for, things that he needs. We request. I'm sure he contacts Elizabeth's team to get a PO whenever something needs to be done. Guys, I'm just saying that it's time to run the city on the up. Transparency is a word that you'll hear over and over, and we can't leave the citizens in the dark. I didn't pull these records. Other people did. So.
You did pull them. I've made an open records request before.
I did.
And all this stems from the fact that you don't like me because I put you out of office because you had such a conflict of interest because you chose to take a trash contract over representing the city as
Look,
the city council.
Can I interrupt real quick?
let's get-
Mayor, hold on, let me interrupt. Can we get back to what
Term
Mr. Exley
limits,
wants to
term
talk
limits.
about?
Yeah,
Let's,
that's what we're
let's
here
talk
talking
directly about that, because that's what I'd like to talk about. We can talk about everything else later. But I
So
really want to
Jonathan,
talk about-
I'll need you to address that tomorrow. So my point, guys, is, term limits is something that's important. We see it in America right now. Our president has 2 terms and he's got to leave. Nobody's saying that we can't adjust it. I don't even know whether it's a charter item, it's something we vote on, or if it's something that goes on a ballot. I have no idea. But what I will say is that I think that it's important to have. I was elected on here. So evidently, there's people that believe in me, that elected me here. So, and this was one of the things that I talked about, and I just see there's a lot of overreach out there from not having it. So,
I agree, there should be term limits. I think maybe back in the day when the city first started, it was important to have people consistently on there, but new ideas and new faces, and it needs to be done.
and there's a balancing act. To me, there's a balancing act where, I know coming on board, when I first came on board, I learned a ton from Paul and Reese, just by talking to those guys and them telling me about things that we approved in the past, what had been worked on. But that dynamic does not change. I mean, you can still have, 12 years or 8 years on council, just making sure that we do have a term limit so that we don't get into those situations where, even if we're not doing it, that it looks like personal gain. And nobody gets so comfortable that they feel the need to do some of these things that are being done. And
Well-
go ahead, sir.
No, I would just say, term limits is a valid discussion, I think, at various levels of our government. Yes, we do have term limits for our president. However, Congress, for 200 years, they've beat this one to death, and they haven't decided it yet. And we can all talk about the reasons why that is. Quite honestly, I don't know that this has ever been a point of discussion. It certainly can be, but there's a process, I think, that it needs to, you're initiating that conversation by presenting this tonight, I think, and we probably need to look at all the factors that might determine whether term limits are reasonable, effective, or whatever. Sometimes a smaller city, I think, excludes term limits because they're small, they don't have much population to draw from to fill those elected positions. So I think population comes into play. We're growing, but we're not a big city. And so I think we need to do a little study, if you please, or evaluation about what's out there. What are the parameters that may establish whether term limits are the right thing to do or not? I'm not opposed to it, if that's what
Yeah, and
we need
nobody
to
knows
do.
the time, I just brought this up as a discussion, because, it was brought to my attention, and, you're right, in a small town it's tough, but we do see a lot of people now getting more involved, more voices, more, people that want to do, community, groups and things like that to help us, so that government does not look so overpowering.
I would think a process would be, this is the beginning of the discussion. We need to do some type of study or evaluation to see what other cities look like in regards to term limits. And then if we determine we wanted to move forward with that, it would require a charter change, which would require taking it to the legislature to change. And so that's a process, and if it's what we need to do, then that's what it would do. Now, again, it probably would be a lengthy process, but it all starts with a conversation, and I think that's what we've done here tonight.
Yeah, and I did a little research too, Mayor, as our charter doesn't state any kind of term limits. at all. I read through it.
No.
And I also started digging into the state legislator sessions too. They don't have term limits except for the governor, 2 terms, just like the president, 2 terms. Now, on that research, I also saw where the city of Savannah just instituted that, term limits. They got 3 consecutive terms or 12 years total service as an elected official. And that goes into effect January of next year. It just passed, and that was approved. They started the process, I'm not sure what it was, and then they approved it, the term limits, sent it to the state legislation, and they approved it back in March to be effective in January of '24. So it's the process, I don't know how long it's gonna take, so. And 12 years might be a good number, we don't know. We just have to see what other cities our size, if they have anything of that effect already, you know, because we're growing, like Mr. Exley said, and the mayor, we're at a little over 11,000. The city is growing population-wise, but we're not growing too much in size, except we're getting some acreage, but it's already been developed, you know, a lot of it. And it's, unfortunately, stuff the citizens don't want at this point, but it'll help the city in the future. So, yeah, it's a process. It might take us 2 years to get this done. Then we give it to the legislators, and it might take them 2 years to approve it. That's how slow it works sometimes.
Mr. Lynn, can you get us some information that might give us some kind of guidance from GMA, maybe, that would tell us what you typically see in the state by size of city, by population, so forth, something that would give us something to begin to work off of. Is that what you're looking for?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, I would definitely wasn't looking for a decision.
I knew that.
Oh, yeah.
And it takes a charter change.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Right, which means it's got to go essentially as local,
So it's not-
local legislation. But we've talked tonight about citizens committees. To be honest, this is a perfect example.
Yeah.
I don't know how we get it started, but let's get 7 or 10 or 5 or however many, I mean, and let them,
The citizens.
let them work with us and give ideas and, I mean, I think this is a good place to start. We're talking about involving citizens, I mean, anybody in the audience.
And also too, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Attorney, but if we got to that point, before we got to the point of taking it to the legislature, I think we could do a referendum. And if we talk about public input, that's the greatest public input. We can do a referendum, let the people tell us.
Yeah, I agree.
But is that something that everybody's willing, I mean, work in that direction?
Very reasonable.
Mr. Lynn, I mean, again, I don't, this is something we've done, but I think this would be a perfect example of getting citizen feedback and moving forward accordingly.
Okay.
I did some research as well, and I actually talked to a couple people who were familiar with the process of how Savannah changed their added term limits, and they told me that it took them about 2.5 years. And it was a lot of back and forth between quite a bit of the council members, but the legislator told them that if there was not enough agreement on council, that he would not take it. And so that's what took, the majority of the time for the city of Savannah. I didn't, double check with the second person, but I believe this person that told me that they know what they're talking about. But, so I absolutely support term limits. I think it's good. I think it's good to have background. And I think it's for us to decide kind of, what that is going to be, because I think it absolutely makes a difference.
Good discussion. Mr. Lamb, can you bring that back to us?
Yes, sir. I'll do it as quickly as I can.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we are into our administrative reports now, Mr. Lynn.
Yes, sir. Just a couple of things. Give you guys a quick update on the survey from between 9th Street and 8th Street. We had the citizen come a couple meetings ago. Just letting you know, EMC is wrapping up the final survey. We should get a completed date from them, and we'll know a path moving forward. I have been communicating with Ms. Jackson, the resident that was here, letting her know where we are in that process. Dulcia wanted me to remind everyone, and she's gonna share it on Facebook as well. The last day to register to vote for the November election is tomorrow, October the 10th. So just letting everyone know. Rincon Global Methodist Church asked that I let you all know that they're going to be doing their trunk or treat on Halloween from 5:30 to 7:30. Rincon Global Methodist is the former Rincon United Methodist. So, excuse me. Trick or treating this year will be held on Halloween from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. That has been coordinated with the sheriff's office. That's countywide. Tomorrow is our submission deadline for the RFP for the Unified Development Ordinance. So hopefully we'll get some stuff in from there that we can kind of start budgeting and bring back to you all to take a look at. And a reminder that we are going to be doing the workshops with department heads for their budget Friday evening and Saturday. So I know Ms. Taylor has already let me know that she is not going to be in attendance, but we'll keep her in the loop. So if anyone has any questions or anything specific, I did send out a draft schedule to you guys last week. So just making sure that, we were accommodating people that were driving in from distances and people that were already here. And we even had to accommodate one of our department heads' recreation schedule for that Saturday. We made sure to take care of them, so if anybody has any questions, that's all I have tonight.
John, back to the Southern Street project. We talked to Terry, and we've got, those letters went out, and we have some issues about those letters of requirement. We need to identify whether we're talking about construction easement. Those letters says 20-foot easement. And this is where we have the problem to run those pipes. And Tim, if I'm right, it should be a construction easement. Correct. Because once that project is done, they put everything back in place and it reverts back. The easement that's going out requested, they're asking for a 20-foot easement, and everybody's thinking, I'm giving up 20 foot of my property. We're supposed to meet with the engineer again, because if you look at the 20-foot they're asking for, on some of the lots, they're devaluating the people's property. So we need to look at that, but by which, she's supposed to have an engineer set up a date to meet with Alex. And I thought it would have been this week.
I'll find out about that later.
Mr. Mayor and Council, the reason these need to be classified as construction, right now, those people have grinder pumps. All right, we have to maintain that grinder pump from the house to the street. Once they get put on gravity sewer, all that'll go away, and we'll only maintain up to the property line. What's back off the from the right of way back will revert back to the citizen.
And they're not understanding that, and it's not clear.
Or some of those grinder pumps closer to the homes than the street, or?
They're right up to the house.
They're right at the
Yeah.
house, so the construction even says you ripping out that pipe and that grinder pump, putting in.
We'll take out the grinder pump and pull out the old, if it's in the same easement, they'll take out the old, low pressure force main, lay the 4-inch replacement.
Right.
But you don't need a permanent easement.
No, because we won't be able to maintain it because it'll revert back to private
It's just a
property.
construction easement.
And we'll revise those letters if that's where.
And let those that have already approved that easement, let them know it's just a construction easement.
And that their property will remain their property.
Correct. Yeah.
People get a misunderstanding between a utility easement and a right-of-way.
Yeah.
A right-of-way belongs to the city.
Yeah.
An easement just gives us access to go in there and work on the utilities. They still own the property. They can still put a fence across it as long as they give us access to it.
Ma'am, did you have a question?
Yeah, because I have a grinder pump. Down my street, there's 4 of us that have grinder pumps. And I've called the city twice in the last 3 weeks to ask them about a grinder pump, if they're ever gonna get rid of our grinder pump. And I've never gotten a phone call back.
What's the address?
110 South Boyd Street.
It'll be years down the road.
We were told 15 years ago that they were gonna get rid of them. 15. I've been here 23. And y'all talking about changing grinder pumps somewhere else. That just kind of gets me a little bit.
Well, we're knocking out large sections of grinder pumps.
We don't pull one. We're technically.
And there's no way to get gravity sewer down on Boyd
done.
Because it's all uphill.
Well, we were told 15 years ago that it was gonna change.
We'll be stuck with those forever.
No, and
Not
the
forever.
problem is, and I'm gonna,
What they've done.
y'all put crappy ones in there, and they don't last, and they burn out. And then someone gets sick in my house, and then the grinder pump goes out. It ticks me off. I pay just as much as everybody else,
Is there,
and no one calls me back.
is there a way to maybe move some things around to get, is it just you can't get anything down that
And don't
route? or-
The only way,
Downhill.
It goes with, you've got to get the system put in. You may have to put a pump in. You don't know what the depths are. But what we started doing is started phasing them in. Where they had the most, they started running those. They running down, 3 phases. I think we had 3 phases. And this is the 3rd phase of it. Now,
We can't even get people to pave our road. It stops at our houses. Anybody that has a grinder pump, they won't even go down our street and pave our road anymore.
Is that a
The
city?
part by my house has not been paved in 23 years. It's
It's
the
not
old
being
pavement
paved.
that used to be originally from the road. But the city and the state won't do anything down my street. I had to fight to get the light to stay on, down my street. And I pay just as much as everybody else, and sales tax and all that other, and that T-splosh. or
Well, when
splosh.
it comes to pave back there, I'll make sure it gets done.
Mr. Lynn, can you look at her specific address? I mean, the grinder pump thing, we're limited as far as what we can do. As far as paving, if there's any option for that, would you look at that and let us know if that's something that we need to consider?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Tim, what's the process, when you start back there? What will be the process? I know you said it's uphill, so would you have to pump that?
you'd have to put in a lift station at the end of, Window and at the end of, well, they could probably run gravity from one street to the other through the woods.
Okay.
But you'll have to have a lift station back there to pump it over to the 9th Street station.
Maybe this is something for us to look at to reorganize our T-Splosh project. Maybe that's something we can kind of move some things around, because it sounds like it, it's affecting a lot of our residents. So, we can update the T-Splosh list and move things around on it.
We left several categories very
Yep.
vague just for that reason.
Mr. Wells, do you know what road, the 110 South Floyd, are you familiar with that area? Is there a reason why? I mean, is that city property?
It's the
right
city,
away?
yeah, it's the city street. I mean, we do the LMIG, in sections because we don't get millions of dollars from LMIG. And we have to do matching funds, so, like the list we've got on LMIG now, we've got 4 streets on there. And they're not long streets. So you can only do so much.
All right, thank you, Tim. Does that answer your question? I don't think that's where this conversation all started.
Is there any updates on the picket fence?
I've got a draft letter to get out to the owners of the property we're looking to utilize the ingress and egress there. That's the next step.
We'll be able to get those out probably next week.
I got that this week.
Randy, you good with that?
Yeah, they need to be contacted.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get it out tomorrow, that would be great. Did you say, Mr. Lynn, on Georgia and 9th Street there, the EMC, I know they went back over there and they resurveyed, but they're still in the process of getting that survey back to us, right?
That's correct. I have not gotten anything from them. The first one was just kind of a land survey, and they were going out looking at the actual property to what was there.
It was two
different
step
steps.
process.
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Jackson had a question about that. You probably answered it for her.
Yes, sir.
They have to they have to take and match everything up to the title plats at the courthouse.
I do have one more question for Mr. Lynn about Miss Estelle, did we come up with anything on that to let her know?
I believe that Dave, and I apologize, and she's not here tonight. I believe you guys have been in contact with Ms. Lewis, and you guys were working
Yeah.
on providing the title information to show what you were saying. Is that?
No, the burden of proof is on you guys to, show us where you had a deed saying that you had a right to the road. The burden of proof is on you on.
I apologize for that. We will be in touch.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
I completely understand.
Any other questions for Mr. Lynn? All right, police department?
Mr. Lynn, just real quick, that's my fault, because you've been handling this Cat and new playground. They were supposed to come several occasions. Have you got in touch with them? Or either Mike may address that too.
Yes, sir. I don't have any rationale for them not showing up at the meeting. They sent a very long email last week that they will be done on October the 16th.
Next week.
Next Monday, so I'm kind of letting them get to that point. I think Mike was in.
If they're not done, I want legal action. I'm tired of this. This is ridiculous. Raymond, we gotta come, this is ridiculous. It has been almost an entire year that we have been working with this company for, I mean, this is in regards to a park, this is a small park. This is ridiculous. And the excuse of, we can't find parts, it's BS. I'm telling you. If they are not done on the 16th, I want some legal action, because that is ridiculous.
Well,
Period.
can we, take some money away?
We still owe them half.
I know, but you know,
How much has been paid?
Half.
I think was it 150, 160, Mike?
It's close to 160,000.
Did they give us a finish date?
No.
Did they ever give us a date or a time that it would be
Yes.
finished?
yes, they did, and they kept extending it, and extending it, and extending it.
Part of it was, I mean, you can understand if you know, okay, we're short on concrete, or
Right.
the latest thing was they needed a piece of equipment to put up the tent. Well, this is your job. You should have this piece of equipment. It's not our responsibility to figure out how to put up a
Plenty of
tent.
rental companies.
Yeah,
cranes and such.
I'm so done.
Yeah.
Legal action of some kind if they are not done on the 16th.
Could you not send them a certified letter telling them to take legal action if it's not done on the 16th?
That's a great reality.
We'll get to the 16th before we can get that draft. We'll see what's going on.
All right. Police department, Lieutenant Thompson.
Mayor and council, nothing to report, but I'm available for questions if you guys have any.
Got one question on the report, Lieutenant Thompson. When you say on the report that we get, it's got damage to property.
Yes, sir.
On the invoice or what, the report said we had 5 incidents. Does that include city property? Or do you,
I had to look at the details specifically, but yes, it should include city
so
property.
any property damage, should say, whoever's running across the golf course and tearing up the greens and everything with their.
Yeah, it depends how that report was labeled, that's how that incident was going to search.
Okay, because I didn't see anything reference the golf course or any other,
It would fall under a category such as that.
like vandalism. or-
Right. Any damage to property, part 1 crime should fall under that.
Okay.
Right, and if it's minors, we want it taken care of.
We'll see to it, man.
Did we ever follow up with Judge Calhoun when she, when we were talking about the vandalism at?
Yeah, well, we
at
talked to
Montgomery
them
Park?
about
I mean,
it.
have we,
I believe Chief Merle is.
okay, so we've opened that line of communication with our office and says, when we do identify whoever it is that's doing it, then we can make sure that the proper people know so they get punished accordingly.
That's correct.
And pay for it.
Restitution, right?
That's it.
All right, any other questions for Lieutenant Thompson? Fire department, Chief Reed.
I submitted my report. I'll be available for any questions. We're in the 90 to 100 day window to know about our ISO, so we're expecting that any day.
Any outlook on filling those vacancies from
December,
December?
yes, sir. Next school doesn't start till January the 5th,
Okay.
so they need to be on at least 2 weeks prior to, we've got another hiring test on the 18th.
And I will jump in, he won't say it, but Chief Reed will be out on October 27th. Would you like to let them know why you're going to be out?
I'm going to walk for my graduation.
So, just so, he wouldn't say it himself, so I put him on the spot.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Hey, Lou, any heads up on when your audit is gonna come back, or have you heard anything from them yet?
Now, we're in that 90 to 100 day window right now, so we're expecting it any day.
Any day?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, building and zoning, Terry is not here, but you have a report in your packet. Recreation, Mr. Osborne.
Mayor and Council, update on some projects. The contract for Giles Restrooms has been signed, just waiting for the contractor to begin the work. So it's in the contractor's hands now for the work to start. I do know he had knee surgery. He's had it several weeks ago, or a few weeks ago. So, going to be in touch with him, try to get him to start as soon as he can at Giles for the restrooms.
Did we get the camera situation all figured out?
We have ordered those cameras, and they're taken care of from Glass.
The bidding for Macomber restrooms has ended. I know there's been a lot of talk about the restrooms at Macomber. I know there's been pictures that's been posted. People have been making their comments. We do clean, I want it to be known, we do clean those restrooms. We're not there 24/7 of the day. We're not there on weekends. We can't help what people are doing to the restrooms. Do they need to be redone? They definitely need to be redone. They've been there since, I think, maybe 1998. They are very old. They get used a lot. Brought this to council before in the past about getting these redone and presented, and Christy Ricker was on board and presented. And it was a lot of money and it didn't get done. So I just want everyone to know, especially the citizens, I have been trying. My staff has been trying. It's not like we're intentionally just not doing our job. With that being said, we sent it out for bids. We received no sealed bids. However, we did get one bid. It was sent in an email, but it was not a sealed bid. So after speaking with Jonathan, we decided that we will rebid it again one more time and then see what we get from there and present it to you guys. And hopefully we can move forward and get this taken care of.
Can we reach out to that one that did at least submit some information and just tell him what the process is and make sure he does, if he's interested?
We did try to start it out with quotes and reached out to several different businesses. And he was one of the ones that gave us a quote, but it was over the amount for the approval and we had to get it bid. And he's the same gentleman who gave us the one in an email and it wasn't sealed. And he is the same gentleman who got the quote for Giles that will be doing the work on.
I think what the mayor's asking is have him see if he can submit it as a sealed.
Submit it as a
for
sealed
the
bid,
next round, yeah.
for the next round.
Yeah,
Yes, we will do that. So we are trying our hardest. We're also now accepting bids for the resurfacing of the tennis courts. And it's been a lot going on. We're trying to get that grant. We have, Mr.
They made it
Ken,
sound
you saw it,
easy,
I
didn't they,
think. Yeah, I think Jonathan may have seen it, I'm not sure, where we stood as far as everything we've done so far.
We have a lot of hoops to jump
We've
through.
emailed the lady, that I've been dealing with, I can't remember her name.
Lauren Z.
There you go, Zink. In the last 2 weeks, we've emailed her 3 times and still no response. So, we've had people reach out to us asking more info on it and the resurfacing. So now we just hope that we can get some bids in so we can get this resurfaced. We're still trying our hardest to get this grant.
Can we just move forward? We have money in our reserves. I mean, it's not gonna cost us, $200,000. We have money in our reserves. The citizens have been asking for it. Can we just move forward and get it onto the agenda for? move it from our reserves? Is that something that
I
we can
do.
do? Because that's what our reserves is for, correct?
I mean, and we could, and I think the grant approval process is pretty quick. We're gonna have to pay for it all up front anyway.
Yes.
They're gonna pay us back. So
Right.
we just need to make sure that they say, okay, and then we can.
I agree with that. But what
I
I'm
get
saying
calls
is, even
every
if they
week.
don't say okay, I mean, especially now with the park hopefully being finished by the 16th of October, at least the tennis courts will be taken care of, and we can move forward.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. If you guys authorize that, that's absolutely what we could do. And when Mike gets the bids in, he can bring them to us to go ahead and award the bid and move forward.
Yeah, that's what we can do.
Okay. The last quote we got, and I think, I'm assuming the bids would come in about right, when we had to get the quote updated, it's around 68,000. They've gone up from 53 to about 68 over the period of about 14 months.
With all that being said, we had just sent the info on the Ms. King's been out. We just sent it, I believe it was today, to start accepting seal bids for the putting blacktop and restriping the Macomber parking lot. We are asking that they give a price for the blacktop and then a price for the restriping.
Will that be just a reseal, Mike, not a resurfacing? A reseal?
It's reseal the cracks,
Yeah.
then they would put the blacktop on, and then they would restripe everything that needs to be restriped. That's what we're asking.
Yeah, kind of like a top coat.
Yeah.
That's front and back.
Top coat, yep. Mhm.
And that's in your budget though, we put that in the budget.
Yeah, I have spots. I have
It would be a
spots.
swap.
Yeah, okay.
All right, couple other things. Moving beyond projects. One, I just want it to be known, there's been a lot going on when it comes to me these past several months. A lot has been said, pictures have been painted. And it's been hard. People want to say that, rec department. Well, it's been hard to try to do what needs to be done at the rec department when you're constantly being bashed and talked about. And I'm gonna say this tonight, because it's time I finally speak up. With that being said, it was brought to my attention by an employee, my phone has been being tracked. If you wanna know where I'm at, whoever set it up to track me, call me, I'll tell you where I'm at. I will tell you where I'm at. So I looked on my work phone, yep, sure enough, it was being tracked. So if you, like I said, I don't have anything to hide. You wanna know where I'm at, pick up the phone and call me and I'm gonna tell you. Bottom line, I'm tired of constantly being attacked and not speaking up. It's not gonna happen no more. I'm telling all of you right now. I've been in a hostile environment. I've been harassed. I've been targeted. I have been defamed. And it stops. And if it don't stop, my attorney's gonna handle it. I'm done with it. You guys said my first appeal, or my first reprimand. And I had,
We might not need to go down this road.
well, I've been put out in the public constantly.
Well, I know.
But that's all right. But I can't let the public know my side.
Council wants to hear.
That's fine. That's fine. That's all I have.
Any questions from Mr. Osborne?
Not for Mr. Osborne, but is it normal for our all the city phones tracking turned on? I mean.
I have no idea who tracked this phone.
I can show you if you want to see it.
No, I don't, I'm just asking a general question, because I know from a legal standpoint, that could be itchy. Is that
Can't speak.
I've
something that we
never
need to look at? or-
Oh, absolutely.
You can track anything.
Because that's not something we do, yeah.
All day long.
Well, I can speak from several other employees
Yeah,
that
my
I've
truck
worked
has
for.
GPS on it right now,
It's illegal.
so it ain't illegal.
Well,
It's city owned.
most vehicles are tracked, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
City vehicles?
It's not illegal to track your employees.
No.
Gulfstream used to have
You
it.
you can track, it's in there, you'll have, no expectation of privacy.
Trust me.
So you can check my emails,
Used to.
you can check computers.
Almost 9 years.
I'm sorry.
You do.
No, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. It is in the policy that there's no expectation of privacy.
Sure.
So there's nothing wrong with it. But I just wish that if you're gonna track my phone, call me. Ask me where I'm at. Don't be sneaky. With that being said, I have an issue with something that I brought to y'all at my first appeal. and I just got wrote up for it again. So with that being said, I know something Charlie going to say about this too. I would like an executive session at the end of this council meeting to discuss. Because we got a contradiction.
I had a question for Mr. Nguyen. I read an email late this afternoon that came from the county, the county manager.
Yes, sir.
I would like to hear that, talk about that. I think that needs to be addressed. I mean, that come from our county manager. If you could put that up or read just that small, letter,
Sure thing.
be important.
Get to it. And I did forward that to you all today. I did receive an email from Tim Callanan this morning, about 10:02, regarding an incident that Effingham County had with Coach Rob Collum on September the 28th, where Mr. Collum, was berating and very belligerent to an Effingham County rec employee. Used some explicatives, berating the person about what they make, followed the person around to the point of, I believe the rec director may have reached out to you, Mr. Scott, to give you that heads up. Like it rose to that level for doing that, and it does say that he reached out to you, and it's in that email.
Executive session because it's talking about employee personnel. So
This is that's volunteer, so I don't know. I'll let Raymond. I don't know how to address that one.
It's not employee, it's a
But-
volunteer.
But all that being said, it was forwarded to me from the county manager with witness statements, and that's why I forwarded it to you all to ask how you guys would like to address that matter. I don't know if you want me to put it up on the screen. I can. I don't know, but you all do have that email.
Before you go forward, mate.
Hold on, as Mr. Exley has stated, isn't that something that y'all would handle? Do we need to get involved in any of that? I mean, I feel like that's something.
No, I just asked the question.
Well, I mentioned to Mr. Brown earlier, and I wanted to make sure, because I didn't get a clarification, I need to get a clarification from the attorney what to do with it, because I'm not gonna bring it out and lay it out. Because they sent it to me today. And, I was gonna present it tonight, but I know we had executive session, so I don't know, Raymond, where we need to do that at.
Typically, volunteer coaches are not employees of the city, which means that they're not actually governed by anybody. So it's not executive session.
Okay, so we have and it's been validated by 3 witnesses.
I didn't read that.
I got it, they sent it to me, it
went directly to you.
Mike?
With that being said, I want it to be known on the record. Nobody from the county has contacted me. My staff that was there never told me that there was an issue like this. So I want it on the record. I was not aware of this issue.
So Jonathan, I think you, Mike, and whoever else, y'all need to handle that. I don't see what we need to do unless y'all disagree with that. I mean,
Well, it's always been a sticky situation with him because Rod Collins accuses me and him for going after him. So, which I approved for him to coach. I mean, I don't understand.
So, as a citizen, can I just say that, how long are you guys gonna let Rob Collins run anything in the city of Rankin, which he doesn't live in, by the way? He has problems in Effingham, he has problems in other counties, we bent the rules for him, and now he's belligerent, and it's been validated by several people. Right after he got the gracious ability to coach in Rankin by all of you, then he's gonna go out and do this. At what point do y'all stop it?
Well,
But y'all voted him in, so I feel like y'all are the ones who need to say he's out.
well, he's representing the city.
He
And
is.
he
Is
needs-
that the representation you
You
want?
need to do it with class.
Yeah.
So,
But to Patrick's point, it's not for us to make that.
But you made the
decision.
decision to vote, this council made the decision to allow him to coach. So now this council has set that precedent, in my opinion.
I think that was a mistake on our part.
Well, before we, let's let staff look into it. I mean, I don't even know what's been said, and we're sitting up here and making decisions. So, again, let's pass it on, let staff handle it, and report back to us.
That's it.
Again, I have no idea. We're sitting up here talking about something, and maybe everybody else knows, but I don't. I think we're getting, old proverbial cart before the horse. And let's handle it.
Your email?
Let's handle it, but let's do it the right way.
Do you want to see this? Leave that guy.
So that's the direction from this council.
What we already got?
Can I say something, because I'm following the same stuff on Facebook. I'm following the same stuff on Facebook, and he goes after Jonathan constantly and everybody else. He's passionate, if you're being kind. And I think that you guys need to back Jonathan up, and this needs to be a joint decision to stop this once and for all, because I think we're all tired of the yay-yan. But then I want to ask Jonathan, have you ever had any email complaints on Rob Cullen before?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Uh,
All right, and I think y'all were told in the appeal, y'all had not had any complaints. So y'all need to look into other complaints too. And we need to decide what we're gonna have out there representing us and our kids, because a parent told me that just a couple of weeks ago, he got thrown out, was about to get thrown out of a football game for the same thing. So, and I'm gonna tell y'all this, I was approached by about the crazy football coach. I didn't know the man, still don't care to. I didn't know him, and I went to Patrick because Michelle and Jonathan are getting so much grief from everybody. I went to Patrick and I said, Patrick, I don't know this man, but people are telling me some awful things, and he's been coaching, so I just hope y'all are doing background checks. Patrick's like, I hope we are too. And then Patrick went and asked specifically for background checks, because that's about all you can do. So there's history out there, but we need to set not just a standard for what we require as far as felonies, but what we require with behavior in front of our kids. And I'm gonna tell you another one. You need to find out who these people are out there trying to entice children to play ball with sports memorabilia and other stuff. This is recreation sports. And I like my idea of citizens councils, because the first one I mentioned to y'all was a rec board that would help with a lot of this stuff. And it would also take the heat off Mike and people. Because when the board sits down and they all sit down together and Mike goes in and he works a board meeting with his people, they can set a standard, and that's what they live with. And a lot of that stuff quits coming before y'all. That's what we used to do at the county. And then y'all get out of the rec business. Just a thought.
Okay, Jonathan, I think you need to take the information, verify it, and determine a course of action, and bring it to this council for our consideration for your recommendation for action.
Yes, sir. And I'll make sure Mr. Brower gets the information, as he said he hadn't seen it. I'm sure you got it. Oh, you got it, okay, yes, sir, perfect.
All right, Public Works, Mr. Bowles.
Submitted a written report, a little update on the Elmig streets. APAC has started stockpiling the crush run for the base at the old shop area, so they will have enough to get started in case there's another shortage. Sidewalks went out to bid. The bids were open, only one bidder at an astronomical price. So we decided to rebid that again. One contractor, I think his carrier went to the wrong place and was late with the bid, so he couldn't accept that. So we decided to rebid it for another 20 days. You'll get sidewalks, but you'll get them at a reasonable price.
Yes.
That's it.
I can appreciate that.
I can tell you some prices in there that you wouldn't be happy about.
Okay.
Any questions from Mr. Bowles? All right, you have a wastewater report in your packet. And I think they're still working on the meter situation out there.
Yes, sir.
Brian, you may be able to give us an update on that. Finance, Ms. Cartwright?
Nothing to report, ma'am.
Any questions from Ms. Cartwright? I think she put a financial report on your desk.
Is the reserve dollar amount on this report? Can you send us an email of what's actually in reserve? Thank you. I appreciate it.
And to also, toot Ms. Cartwright's horn, I sent you all an email late this afternoon for a potential candidate for hire for their department. And, that would fill the position of Ms. Herbert leaving to be the HR person. So they will not miss a beat. So Liz has identified a candidate for that position for you all to consider. Let me know if you have any questions. And that I'm going to change the term. If that happens, that department will remain at full capacity. I'm not going to use those other words that we tell people not to use.
All right, golf course, Mr. Bessinger. You have a report in your packet tonight. That's good.
Hey, I caught that. Mayor, Council, just a couple of things real quickly. I'll make it quick. First and foremost on the meter, I really don't have much of an update. I'll skip down to one other thing. We're interviewing some applicants for our superintendent. So every one of them, I'm actually talking with about the process and everything. So that way we'll have a better job in the future of being able to report that.
Brian, how many applicants did you receive for that?
So we received approximately, let's say 8. Of the 8, 4 of them were lack of experience. And then I had four good applicants, and then we'll see what happens from there in terms of visiting. So I'm trying to get that done as soon as possible.
Are we still receiving applicants? I mean,
Or do we
what's
have
our
a deadline?
timeframe?
I'm not sure about that one. That's a good question. If you stepped out.
Open dated, or did we have?
Do you know, Ms. King?
We'll figure that one out. I don't know, to be honest with you. I had a couple good ones though, so I was very excited about that, and I've already been into the process. We have our club championship this week. That's Saturday and Sunday, and that's why somebody's playing golf this weekend. So
my budget meeting.
but yeah, so with the club championship, just want to say publicly thank you to the membership. The membership's actually stepped up. I know there's a lot of changes that are going on because you got somebody new in, we're starting to finally kind of hit our stride, and they're really starting to help with all of the vandalism and having eyes out there. So I was going to ask Mr. Johnson something. But we're trying to get bids now. I think it's going to go open pretty soon for the grill room to see about possibly leasing that out. I know we've had a lot of people asking about the grill room today. So it went out today. There we go. Are we still accepting resumes for when? For the
Another week.
Another week? Okay.
Another week.
Yeah. So we've had some good applicants, so we'll continue to do the process. I will say too, also publicly, real quickly, I want to do this because one of them's probably watching, my maintenance staff. I have 2 full-time guys and a part-time guy. They are really stepping up. So we are not missing a beat with that. So thank you to all of them, in particular, Mr. Mike Tomlinson for stepping up and really taking that leadership role of kind of doing the day-to-day stuff. So I do appreciate all 3 of them. We do have somebody, potentially Christy, going full-time, so that's going to help out the golf course a lot. So she's going to be able to step into a bigger role of assistant general manager, as I like to call her already. The monthly report, I did have that for September. September was really good. We did have some expenses that came through, so in terms of profit, we weren't necessarily the greatest, but we did have some cart bills and stuff for the carts that we had to pay for. That we've gotten, but September itself was extremely good, much better than last year, and October so far is looking really good. We just had a tournament this past weekend, it was great, got the club championship, we got another tournament the following weekend, and then hopefully the last weekend, Halloween weekend, will be a big one. So we're doing very, very good. We've had almost 19,338 rounds is what I saw before I came here so far this year, so we're doing well there.
Brian, are we still on target to receive our new carts in
Yes, sir.
November?
Yes, sir. Actually, that was my next bullet point. So I did speak with the EasyGo rep. We were in the process of kind of determining whether or not we wanted to maybe hold off until December because then we get a full month of having the carts without having the payment. However, December being the biggest month of the year in terms of holidays, production shuts down, so he said if we don't do it in November, it'll probably be January end or possibly February, and we don't really want to do that. We want to have those golf carts and get them out there so people can use them. Everybody's really excited about it. And other than that, I'm looking forward to Friday night at 7. So we'll leave here around 12 o'clock at night, maybe? No? No?
2 questions.
Okay,
Sprinkler,
yes.
you knew I was gonna ask you.
Yes, so it's funny because Steve came to me today and said that the power somehow got cut back on the sprinkler
Okay.
on number 9. So we have our irrigation system we're working on. We were working on it with the previous administration. The guys that I'm interviewing, talking with them about what is their irrigation expertise, because we don't have a mechanic, full-time mechanic, and we also don't have a full-time irrigation person. Steve does help out with that, but he's only a part-time guy. So number 9 tee box should be shut off again. So
When is it fixed? That's what I really want to know.
great question. So we have the computer system, we have the routers that are out there, so I think we still have a little bit more to do with it. So I'm gonna be honest and say that probably when I get a next superintendent, that we can really start to get all of it.
Can we get somebody maybe to come out and look at it? And
It's
go ahead
supposed to be
and fix
shut
it?
off. It's supposed to be shut off. It's just like your sprinkler system at home. If you hit off, it doesn't come on.
But we still gotta water the grass though, right?
That is a tee box. And so what Steve does is he goes hole by hole by hole, section by section by section, and he cuts them on. He literally has to stand there with his foot or hand and do this. And so it doesn't go all the way because the gears on them are so worn out. So there's an extensive project there. And we'll talk more about that on Friday in terms of irrigation in the 24.
Yeah, now that works off of your phone. I mean, I've watched that be turned on from somebody's cell phone.
It will work on your phone. It doesn't now. We don't have the proper stuff. So we don't have it set up yet. That's something we're working on with the routers and stuff.
Oh, so that's what got removed, routers and...
Correct. So we have a brand new computer system that Jerry Pay came and put in our office probably, I don't know, let's say within the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally a couple weeks ago, he was back 2 Tuesdays ago, the day that, had to let somebody go. So we're working on that. So that will happen. So the next superintendent specifically will actually have that, but yes, we're working on that, but the power is supposed to be off to number 9 tee box.
And my second question, with the digital, when the new Easy Carts come, are you about ready to start advertising and trying to get some sponsors to be able to bring in some additional revenue for those carts, or kind of where you got a plan together, or kind of how you gonna do that? Since
Yes.
November is next month.
Yeah, no, it is next month. To answer your question, no, we don't have a plan yet. The reason being is because we have to actually have the system and play around with it.
Okay.
My number one concern with the golf carts is first, is gonna have 60 brand new golf carts that actually work, that we're not spending money on again and again and again. It's gonna actually help us pull in rounds, because even this past weekend after our tournament, I had to shut down 2.5, almost 3 hours worth of tee times, which lost revenue because we didn't have golf carts that could go out. So we will work on advertising, but my most important thing I'm working on with that is having the golf carts, working on geofencing, which is where golf carts can go, because we have people that like to drive on greens. So we'll work on that, and then yes, sir, we will get to the advertisements. And we already have our partners, so we have approximately, I think we have 18. We just picked up Rutland Tire is going to be a partner, which is pretty awesome. And Empire Gym was also just a partner. So thank you to both of them and all of our other partners, of course, but they'll be on there too. So we want to do things like Partner of the Week, for example, that kind of thing. So we want to get back to our partners.
Well, and I think to Mr. Kirkland's point, there might be some good, not in depth, but in this budget process, when you talk about your revenues, expected revenues for next year, maybe just talk about some of your thoughts and ideas about how we can generate some more revenue by increased play and some of your advertising and that kind of thing. So that'd be a good time to talk about that a little bit.
Yes, sir. That goes along with our partnership. So yes, sir, I can do that.
Brian, one more question. The coastal sports, that quote, that $9,100, that was for them to spray, right?
Correct.
Will this other company be spraying?
Absolutely, yes,
So
sir.
they're gonna spray for less than half?
Correct, they're pretty much just, I call it a favor. They're actually just gonna come out. We have a superintendent who's gonna help us out, who's licensed, because you have to be licensed to spray, which is why we can't do it ourselves.
Oh, okay.
So we have somebody coming in, they gotta make sure that the sprayer's properly cleaned, and then,
So
then
you
get the
just
new
couldn't
stuff.
provide chemical and we do it? We have to have
Yeah,
somebody?
correct. Well, yeah, correct. So we actually, that's including the chemicals, so it's all good. So that's why it's such a nice thing. And then, of course,
That's a huge-
one last thing too, when I'm talking about chemical and spraying is hopefully our new superintendent will also be able to kind of partner with Mike. I'm looking at you, Mr. Aubrey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm gonna need that.
So just to let you know that like, that is something we're looking at too, because I know
Yeah.
that, we can kind of partner together.
Okay.
We still have the tractor too, by the way, but anyway. Anything
All
else?
right, any other questions, Mr. Cobb? Mr. Messenger?
I'll be whatever.
All right,
Thank you.
thank
Hey,
you.
can I ask something about the golf course? It was kind of left laying the last meeting, and I, just as a citizen, I would like to know, because I've clarified that anything over a $20,000 threshold, we have to get a bid on it. And I did a Freedom of Information request on, Harold and Al Hicks and Jim Watkins. And I also asked for any agenda meeting, any minutes of any meetings where this council approved any contracts with any of them. The only minutes they'll see us in, and I'm assuming that's the only one, was December of '22. So from April of '22 to December of '22, we paid probably close to $50,000 to people without a contract. And I want to know how we did that and what the investigation process is into finding that out. Because we shouldn't legally be able to do that. So I want to know where that's going from here. What's the next step?
I think there was some questions that were addressed to you in regards to this thing, and you responded on a couple of the things, so, you may not be through with that to provide all the information.
Not ready yet, but
Who approved the payment of that if it wasn't a we just,
so it was council, they approved it in December, and we started switching to the monthly payments. The spread out 12 payments, or whatever, the budget amount, $77,000 spread among the 12 payments, beginning, I believe it's in February
because
of '23.
because on Mr. Hicks and Mr. Watkins things, it says contracted labor and there's no contracts.
The first initial communication that I did find about the Hicks, and John Clem's email was around, late March, early April, 2022. When he sent it to Ms. King saying, hey, it's kind of essentially a press release, saying, hey, we're glad we're having Al and Al Hicks come in to do our golf course superintendents. And then following that, there was an email thread with Jason Stewart and Paul Goff regarding Mr. Watkins, and he was our new Lost Plantation at the time, Lost Plantation golf superintendent that was sent to everyone, and that,
All right, but normally our superintendent was a paid employee, correct?
I believe previously before the Hicks thing happened, the Hicks.
So we went from an employee to a contractor with no contract. Yes or no? We went from an employee to a contractor with no contract.
They were.
And no vote
contractors.
by council. So where do we go for the investigation? Because how does this city spend $50,000 on somebody without an approval from somebody? Because it should have come from here, is what I want to know.
I don't have an answer to that, really.
So what do we do to get the answer? Mr. Dickey, can you help me with this?
I'm not sure.
So I can just send it?
understand what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
but in the contract world, you don't have to have a written contract. There can be an implied contract between the actions and the verbal discussions and negotiations with the parties. So
Okay.
I don't know what happened, so
But the council should have voted to spend that kind of money every month.
I don't know without looking. I have no earthly idea about any of this. If they can supply some information to me, then I might be able to respond to your question.
All right. So this is gonna be like picket fences, we'll be back every month, because I'm not gonna wait till we have the answer. And I guess we can send a letter to the State Attorney General's office too, because I don't mind doing that. I mean, I've seen y'all beat him up over a $700 fan. We're gonna find out how we paid $46,000 to somebody without a vote. You can bet on it.
All right, we're down to council. Anything from council members?
Gary, I got a question about, what is our, I'm talking to some residents that live along the railroad, and Rankin is a city, by and large, because of the railroad. I mean, the railroad came through here, and I think the word Rankin means little corner, and that's, you know, we've, many, probably thousands of cities throughout the US popped up, and were created because of the railroad. But what is our plan as far as with police and fire? And I'm sure we have one. I definitely hope we do. If we don't, we need to get one. If we have a derailing or a spill, and this would be for Chief Reed and probably Lieutenant. If we had some type of situation where we needed to notify the residents, what's our plan for that? I was asking, I said, I know we've discussed it in the past, but are there specific steps that we have in place and numbers we have? Again, if in a situation about 2 weeks ago where I think the trains came apart and they blocked blocked 9th Street and several other streets for a while. And I got a question after that as far as fines. I mean, if they're blocking and we can legally fine them, I think we need to do that. But can y'all kind of enlighten us on that?
Our emergency evacuation plan for picket fences is on foot as of this time. We have to get across the tracks. We have to notify the residents. Commandeer a vehicle if we have to be able to get across the tracks.
How about,
track is blocked?
how about like 9th Street on the other side? I mean, if there's an issue, do we have?
We have to go all the
Not
way
just
around.
picket fences, but I mean, there's a lot of other houses.
If your crossovers are blocked, we have to go around.
So it has to be done. I mean, because we do have a station on that end, but.
Yes, sir.
We don't have an emergency alert thing that we could do, like,
We do, what we would contact is the EMA director, and they would put it out over all their social media sites, including F&M EMA. Because that is going to be a federal, if it's a disaster, it becomes a federal disaster.
Lou, do we know what time the trains come through?
No, sir.
There should be a schedule, right?
There is a train schedule. I can get with the roadmaster. I am not sure. I mean, we live there 24 hours a day, so there are dozens upon dozens of trains that come through north and southbound the whole time, including Amtrak. So it is a high-speed rail.
Yeah, I've just, to add to that, what Reese said, I have talked to a couple of people that said that they had cities that actually radared the trains coming through town, and they were issuing tickets. They would issue tickets for that. They would issue tickets for stoppage, any type of blockage of the neighborhood, issuing fines for that. And that they were paid, they were successfully paid for it. Maybe it's just something we look into, I'm not sure.
I know God City went hard in, they don't know legislation, but it's hard to fight. Georgia, on the railroad, they might say they might have got fined, but they haven't got any money yet. And the power company as well, it's hard to fight. We've been begging them for picket fence for I don't know how many years now. And it's just hard to get them to react, and legislation will not push them to make them do the right thing. We all should know that by now. But the thing is, with picket fence, we just hope Jonathan get this stuff out and see what we can do. Try to get that, because we talked about trying to run it down that side of the railroad track and go back to 9th Street where you got that creek there. You can't do nothing there. You beg owners, property owners for years. They'll say, well, let us look at it, and the next thing you know, it's gone away. We've tried to do something before they built that logistics plant out there on McCoy Road. We're still struggling with that. Because, we can come up and find and try to get somebody out there to radar and shoot radars on them. And I think, Thompson, have you had any experience with radar and trains?
I've never, well, on patrol, yeah, radar will hit the train.
Interesting,
I mean, it is accurate, but like you said, we can issue citations. I think it's, quite honestly, will probably be a piece of paper you call it litigation. You'll never see the other side of it.
That's all that's gonna happen.
You were speaking about Garden City. I believe Garden City did that pretty heavy, but the railroad sent their attorneys down, and I think that's.
They washed it out.
Yeah.
So back to Chief Reed. Essentially, your department would notify, the police department would notify all the residents that are affected in our city along the railroad track. I guess it would be like an emergency alert. You get on the phone and.
Yes.
Okay. I would like to see us, and despite the fact that the railroad is extremely powerful and oftentimes obstinate to deal with, I would like to see what measures we could put in place to hold them accountable. I mean, and it, we're not gonna know unless we look at it and find out. But the most important thing is I just wanted to make sure that we had that plan in place and that way I can communicate it.
Correct. Right now, when that train stops across those tracks, my guys and the police department go down there to help residents get across that train safely. We're not supposed to be crossing the train, however, residents, we don't have control over that, but at least we can help them do it safely.
And I appreciate the job that both of your departments do. I mean, it's a constant battle, but you do a great job
Well,
facilitating that.
Is it possible that if they're gonna be across it for any length of time, that they can separate the cars? They can't? Oh, okay. At least at that one spot.
It depends on how the trains fall. A lot of times, the whole car is across the tracks. So if you broke it, it would not help anyway. If you broke the train, you would still not be able to get a vehicle around the car.
I see.
So, something I was thinking about while we're getting the picket fences thing together, is there an all-terrain vehicle or something that we can get to kind of navigate the brush to an alternate I mean, just getting something, not necessarily a real road per se, but something so you guys don't have to cross the tracks with manually and maybe, going back something. I mean,
There is no alternate source in and out of that subdivision.
I mean, even like off-road, because we're getting ready to put one there, but there's not an off-road way or?
To cross the railroad
It
tracks.
wouldn't cross, it wouldn't
No,
cross
because
the
of
creek
the
in the
It wouldn't
swamp.
cross the creek in the swamp.
No, not the creek. You can't cross the creek.
You'd have to have one of, you'd have to have one of those
Yeah,
big
that's what
swamp
I'm thinking,
buggies like the
back off my
electric
wall.
company has.
What about the dirt lane?
There's lanes that come out of the IDA property back up behind Freedom Park and things of that nature, but they don't go into the picket fencing area.
The only viable exit out of picket fences for emergency exits is going to be McCall Road.
Okay.
If you have a derail there, if you have a chemical spill there, you're not going to be able to go along the railroad track if you have an emergency exit out of there.
And he's right.
I mean, God forbid that something major does happen, we need to start kind of thinking, what are we gonna do to get
I
those
worked in
folks out
Garden
there?
City whenever the Amtrak train derailed down there. And it had everything blocked from Big Hill Road all the way past Wheat Hill. And we had to go in and help people, the passengers in and out of there until they got that, track freed up. And they had to break the train to get the back of it just to get Big Hill Road. But
How long ago was that?
I've been here 23 years, so take a guess.
It's been that long. I was in the airport fire department that day.
So in addition to those, I'm sorry. In addition to the emergency plan, I do think the Garden City is fining the rail company. Have we looked into that? That is.
But they don't pay.
Okay, but it's still something we can put on the books as potential collection effort and potential revenue for the city of Greenville.
Well, the collection
We should
effort
pursue
would be
it.
there in the event that something happened.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have backup that you would at least did that, you know, at least you had a plan.
So Jonathan, can you look into figuring out how we can find the city, I mean, the railroad? I thought John Clement looked into that several years ago and he came to a dead stop, because I remember when he was talking about it, I was still sitting out there.
I mean, it may be, and maybe there's some research we can go find and discuss it, but if it's there, we should at least know the answer.
Yeah, doing nothing's not the answer.
Is the property behind it on the McCall Road side city property or county property?
It's part county, part city.
So I just wondered if there was any easement that you could, in the domain, just to take and make a dirt lane to get out of there with a.
That's basically one of the things we're looking at. Look going west, then you have to go south a little bit to go back out. And that's a different property.
And our plan is not to eminent domain it, but to work with the property owner. So make sure I put that out there.
It's been nice if the developer was done something. Just saying.
Some years ago, there's a gate there for a second entrance, but they never finished it. The gate's still there.
All right, anything from other council members?
Mr. Lee, can I speak on the matter? I heard my name got brought up about something. I'd like to answer everybody's questions if they need it.
We're just, it's not on the agenda, Mr. Collins.
Okay.
We're in
Afterwards, then I can say
council
something?
discussion now.
Okay. So after this meeting's over, then
I don't know that that's
Okay.
appropriate.
I want to answer the question since my name was brought up in something. I can answer any questions anybody has to ask.
Okay.
Okay, I'm here. My wife is the one that notified me, so I'm willing to answer any questions if somebody's got a problem with me coaching.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Collins. Anything from other council members? All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Brower, second by Mr. Scott, to go into executive session, discuss personnel, any litigation, attorney-client privilege, and real estate. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Exley?
Yes.
Mr. Boswell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
I'm not leaving. I'm staying here waiting till y'all get done. I'm tired of my name getting brought up here in a couple of weeks.